Hello everyone. Welcome to another lecture of the course Digital Signal Processing. In the previous lectures, we have seen sampling of a discrete time signal as well as decimation of a discrete time signal. So we have seen that suppose we are given a discrete time signal, say x of n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. The sampling by a factor of 2 results in 1, 0, 3, 0, 5, 0, which means that we are considering every second sample and we are making the remaining samples between them as 0. In case of decimation by a factor of 2, we retain every second sample, and instead of making the remaining samples as 0, we simply discard them. So we have it as 1, then we have 3 and we have 5. So we have seen sampling and we have seen decimation. So now in this lecture, let us consider the inverse process of this decimation, which is known as interpolation. So in this lecture, we are going to look at what is known as interpolation. So for a discrete time signal x of n, interpolation of x of n by a factor of, say, I is given as xi of n, which is equal to x of n by I. Now the thing that we need to keep in mind is that we want this n by I as an integer because we are considering this discrete time signal. So basically this n by I must be an integer, which means that this relation xi of n is equal to x of n by I is valid only if n is divisible, or let's say n is multiple of I and it is equal to 0 otherwise. So let us try to understand this using a simple example. So let us consider the same discrete time signal which we had considered earlier for decimation and sampling. So let us consider x of n as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, where this 1 is located at n equal to 0. Now let us consider the interpolation factor I as 2. So what we need to find is xi of 2, xi of n, which is defined as x of n by 2 if n is multiple of I. So here I is 2, so n is multiple of 2 and it is equal to 0 otherwise. So if we have n equal to 1, let's start with 0, then this n by 2 is basically 0. Therefore xi of n, or let's say xi of 0, is given as x of 0, which comes out to be 1. If we have n equal to 1, then in that case this 1 is not divisible by 2, so we have xi of 0 as equal to 0. So it's xi of 1 as equal to 0. Then if we consider n equal to 2, then we have xi of 2 given as x of 1, which is n by 2, that comes out to be 2, and so on. So if we observe this signal here, then if I consider xi of n, then For n equal to 0, we have obtained it as 1. For n equal to 1, we obtained it as 0. For n equal to 2, we obtained it as equal to x of 1, which comes out to be 2. If I consider n equal to 3, then it is not divisible by 3, so we have a 0 here. If I consider n equal to 4, then it is divisible by 2, and n by 2 is given as 2, so we need to consider the value at n equal to 2, so x of 2 is given as 3. Then if I consider n equal to 5, then it is again 0. If I consider n equal to 6, then it would be equal to x of 6 by 2, that is x of 3, which is equal to 4. Then again, if I consider n equal to 7, then it is not divisible by 2, so it would be 0. If I consider n equal to 8, then it would be equal to x of 8 by 2, that is x of 4, that comes out to be 5. If I consider n equal to 9, then it would be equal to 0 because it's not divisible by 2. And then if I consider n equal to 10, then it would be equal to x of 10 by 2, that is x of 5, which is equal to 6. And after this value, this x of n is basically equal to 0, so therefore this sequence will be also equal to 0 after this point. So if we observe this x of n and this interpolated signal, that is xi of n, we have inserted 1 0 after every sample. So we have inserted 1 1 0 after every sample of this x of n. So if we try to generalize it, we had considered I as equal to 2. So therefore if I consider interpolation by a factor of I, then I need to insert I minus 1 number of zeros between these consecutive samples of this x of n. So what we have is, in general, for interpolation by a factor of I, we need to insert I minus 1 zeros between consecutive samples of x of n to obtain xi of n. So in our example, we had considered I equal to 2, which implies that we had to insert I minus 1, which is equal to 1 zeros between the consecutive samples. So let us try to understand it better using the plots. So we had x of n as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So it appears something like this, and when we interpolate it using I equal to 2, so if we consider xi of n, which is equal to x of n by 2, so that comes out to be 1 0, then 2 0, 3 0, 4 0, 5 0 and 6. So this is the interpolated version, which appears something like this. So we have 1, then we insert 1 0 here, then we have this factor, that is 2. So basically we have this 1 as it is, then we insert 1 0, then we have this 2, then we insert again a 0, then we have this 3 that is located here, then we insert a 0, we have this 4 here, then again we insert a 0, then we have this 5, then again 0, and then we have this 6. So this is basically interpolation by a factor of I equal to 2. So this is what happens in the time domain. So now let us try to understand what happens in the frequency domain. So for that we need to find discrete time Fourier transform, that is DTFT, of xi of n. So let us say that this xi of n has a Fourier transform of xi of omega. Therefore this xi of omega can be given as summation n running from minus infinity to infinity xi of n into e to the power minus j omega n. Now we can write this as summation x of n by I into e to the power minus j omega n. But now the condition is this n is a multiple of I from minus infinity to infinity. Now suppose we make a substitution where this m is equal to n by I, then what we have is this n given as m into I. Now this m would be ranging from again minus infinity to infinity, and now as we had considered this m already having this n as multiple of I, so we can just substitute the limits from minus infinity to infinity. So what we have is xi of omega is equal to summation m running from minus infinity to infinity x of m into e to the power minus j omega, and we had substituted this n as m into I. So we can just rearrange this as summation m running from minus infinity to infinity x of m into e to the power minus j omega I into m. Now if we observe this, so this is basically the Fourier transform of the original signal, that is x of n, but the omega is basically scaled by I. So this is what we have here, and this is the Fourier transform of the interpolated signal. So this is the discrete time Fourier transform of interpolated signal. So we have xi of omega is equal to x of I omega. Now let's say that this I omega corresponds to some frequency which is omega naught. Therefore this omega is now given as omega naught by I, which means that the frequency which was initially at omega naught will now be available at, so this will be now available at omega naught by I, which means that suppose my omega naught is available at 2 pi, it would now be available at omega equal to omega naught, so that is 2 pi by I. Similarly, if my omega naught is suppose 4 pi, then again this omega will now be at 4 pi by I. Similarly, if my omega naught is equal to I minus 1 into 2 pi, so now this omega would be at I minus 1 into 2 pi by I, and suppose my omega naught was initially at I into 2 pi. So now this omega would be located at 2 pi. So what we observe is, for the replicas of x of omega which were located at 2 pi, 4 pi and so on till I minus 1 are now available at some frequencies that are between this 0 and 2 pi, which means that the periodic replicas which were available at every integer multiple of 2 pi are now available at every integer multiple of k times 2 pi by I, where this k varies from 0 to I minus 1. So what I mean to say is, the replicas of x of omega which were available at integer multiple of 2 pi, let's say k into 2 pi, are now available at omega equal to k times 2 pi by I. Now if we consider the range of 0 to 2 pi, then in this unique range of frequencies, this k would be varying from 0 to I minus 1. So again we are having in total I minus 1 replicas of x of omega at integer multiple of, so basically we have I replicas of x of omega at k times 2 pi by I, that is at every integer multiple of 2 pi by I. Now one more thing that we need to observe here is, we are having this x of omega scaled by I omega. So instead of having this x of omega replicas, we are now having x of I omega replicas, and we saw that the new frequency that we are having is given as omega equal to omega naught by I, which means that we are having scaling of omega axis by 1 by I, which means that now we are having some kind of shrinking effect in the frequency domain. So let us try to understand this using an example. So for that we will consider I equal to 2. Therefore the Fourier transform of the interpolated signal will be given as x of 2 omega. So we would be having two replicas of x of 2 omega located at k into 2 pi by I, which is equal to k into 2 pi by 2, which is k pi, and this k will be taking the values as 0 and 1, because this 1 is basically I minus 1, which is 2 minus 1. So this is what we have. So if we observe it graphically, so this is the Fourier transform of x of omega with maximum frequency as omega m and minus omega m. If I consider the Fourier transform of the interpolated signal, then I would be getting shrinking or scaling of this omega axis by 1 by 2. So I am having this omega m by 2 here. Moreover, I would be having replicas at integer multiple of this pi, that is at 0, pi. So this is for the range of 0 to 2 pi, and same thing would be happening in every interval of 2 pi. So I would be having replicas at pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi. Also I would be having it at minus pi, minus 2 pi, minus 3 pi, and so on. So it would be appearing something like this. So this is the Fourier transform of the interpolated signal. Now we know that the replicas that are present at minus 2 pi and 2 pi and every integer multiple of 2 pi are the needed one, whereas these replicas that are now available here, that is at pi, minus 3 pi, minus and 3 pi, are somewhat unwanted replicas. So these replicas here that are at minus pi, pi, 3 pi, so these are basically unwanted replicas and are referred as images. So basically we have I minus 1 images. So in this case one image. So we have unwanted I minus 1 images in case of this interpolation of the discrete time signals. So now in order to remove these unwanted replicas, we can again make use of the low pass filters. So these low pass filters can be considered something like this, which would be having their replicas at every integer multiple of 2 pi, something like this. So if we consider this low pass filters, then the output after this filtering operation would be the replicas that are available only at integer multiple of 2 pi, that is at omega equal to 0, then at omega equal to 2 pi, and then at omega equal to minus 2 pi. So something like this. So this filtering operation allows us to remove the unwanted images that arise due to this interpolation operation. So now, as we had seen the need for decimation, let us now try to find what changes in the sampling frequency occur when we interpolate the signal. So we had seen that the omega or the new omega is given by this omega naught by I. We had seen this scaling operation earlier here. We had seen that this omega axis, the initial omega axis, is basically scaled by a factor of 1 by I. So we have it something like this. So as this is our new omega, so we can just replace it by 2 pi f by fs dash. Similarly, this omega naught can be replaced as 2 pi f by fs into 1 by I. So this fs is sampling frequency of x of n, and this fs dash is sampling frequency of xi of n. So these common factors get cancelled, and if we take the reciprocal, then we have fs dash as fs into I. So we are having scaling of the sampling frequency by a factor of I. So we are having an increase or scaling up of fs by a factor of I. So as we are having an increase in sampling frequency, this interpolation is also known as upsampling. So this also helps in changing the sampling frequency or playing with the sampling frequency of the discrete time signals. So in this lecture, we looked at the interpolation of discrete time signal. So suppose we have a discrete time signal, say x of n, then its interpolation by a factor of I is given as xi of n, which can be written as or defined as x of n by I, and this is valid if this n is integer multiple of this I. Otherwise, it would be having the value of 0. So we observe that we need to insert I minus 1 number of zeros between the consecutive samples of this x of n. Moreover, we saw that in the Fourier transform of xi of n is obtained as xi of omega, which means we are having a scaling of 1 by I in the omega axis. So we are having some kind of shrinking effect in the omega axis. We saw that there are I minus 1 unwanted images in the Fourier transform, which can be removed easily by the low pass filters. And we also saw that when we interpolate by a factor of I, we are basically changing the sampling frequency or increasing the sampling frequency by a factor of I, and this is known as upsampling of the signal. Now we have also seen here that if in the time domain we are having expansion of the signal, that is initially we had the signal like this, and then in time domain we are observing some kind of expansion, whereas reverse thing happens in the frequency domain, which means that so we have in interpolation we have shrinking in frequency domain and expansion in time domain. So this is all about the interpolation operation for discrete time signals. So let's stop here. Thank you.